Managing Director of Management Consulted, and I'm here today to talk about one of the most contentious areas of questioning inside the consulting interview. I'm talking about questions about your strengths, questions about your weaknesses, which nobody enjoys talking about, and finally, the ultimate question that if you're asked is the make or break it moment in your interview. So first, I'm going to talk about strengths. A lot of people, when they're walking into consulting interviews or interviews in general, are concerned about overstepping their bounds. But one of the things that ends up happening is that you're underprepared to talk about what you really bring to the table. So I recommend for each of the clients that I work with directly that they prepare 3 key strengths before they walk into the interview. And these strengths will both have a name to them as well as a quick illustration just afterwards. Beyond the 3 strengths, it's helpful to understand a couple of key themes behind the strengths that will help you build answers so that you can effectively answer a question. If someone asks you, what are a couple of strengths that you bring to the table? The first one is that you do want to portray confidence, but you don't want to portray arrogance. What I found is that a lot of people don't even portray confidence in the concern of becoming arrogant. But arrogance is really only when you say, I am better than other people. And everything else, when you just say, I'm good at something, I'm proficient at something, that's just confidence. So make sure that if you're walking into the interview, you're prepared to quickly and confidently say, I'm good at this. I'm excellent at this. I have a lot of experience in this. Because that's what they want to hear from somebody that they're going to bring onto the table. In fact, it's not usually good to come and say, I don't have a lot of experience doing this. It's way better to say, I have a little bit of experience doing that, and I look forward to doing it more. So that's why confidence is so important in the interview, and as long as you stay away from arrogance, you're going to be just fine. The next thing that's important to think about is that you want to use I, but in the context of a team. What I mean by this is that a lot of people, when they're talking about strengths, want to focus so much on how well they worked with other people that they say, we did this together and we did that together. That doesn't convey a sense of ownership for you, and it doesn't give me a sense of what you did. You could have been the most active person in that group of we. You could have been the least active. You could have just been riding the tails of other people. So make sure that as you're going through the interview and talking about your strengths, you're really owning what you did. Again, it's not saying that you're arrogant. It's not saying that you're better than other people or even that you did more than other people. It's just saying, here is what I'm able to do. Here is what I have done. And then finally, it's important to make sure that you use quick supporting illustrations. These are not story questions. They're not hero stories where you're going to lay out examples upon examples upon examples. You're just giving quick illustrations. So if you talk about problem solving, you might say, for example, I solved a problem here. You don't give me the whole story, just a 10 to 20 second version of it. Or if you're great at communicating with people, you might give me an explanation of it, not necessarily even one time, but just what that means is that I'm really good at bringing groups of people together and driving them on toward the same goal. So you're either giving an illustration with a story or an illustration with an explanation. Either one of those is going to help illustrate your strengths. Now let's move on to weaknesses. Weaknesses are not that fun to talk about, but in many ways you want to handle them in the same way that you do your strengths. You need to show that you are confident, but not arrogant. Confidence in weaknesses says, I have weaknesses, they show up, people tell me about them, and I respond. I do something about it. Arrogance says I have no weaknesses, or my weaknesses don't matter, or I've totally solved them all. None of which are believable statements or desirable statements in a potential candidate. In consulting, when you are hired, you will go through multiple review cycles. You will be reviewed at 1 month, at 3 months, at 6 months, at 12 months, and then every time after that at the end of a project at 6 months and 12 months. So you get a lot of feedback, and the feedback is generally constructive. So they want to know that you're the type of person who can take prompting to do something better, put it quickly into action, and then see results from that. So they want to understand weaknesses that are tendencies for you, but that you've really done something about in recent times. Again, you're not trying to say they're not important, or they're not weaknesses, or they're not tendencies that you have. You're just trying to say, I recognize them, either somebody told me about them or I recognized it myself and have done something about them. So here are a couple of specifics when you're preparing for weaknesses. You want to have 2 weaknesses that you talk about in the interview. You don't just want to come in with one, because what if they ask you, like I did as a mean interviewer, answer, well, great, tell me about your second weakness. I would really want to prompt somebody to make sure that they understood that just having one weakness wasn't enough. Then the next thing that you'll need to understand is that you want to choose examples from the past to distance yourself. The further back your issue with your weakness was demonstrated, the less pressing and concerning it will be to the interviewer. So if it happened 3 years or 5 years ago, and since then you've been building towards something different, they're really going to think it's believable. They'll appreciate that you've made some traction as well. And then finally, it's important to acknowledge boldly what you've done, but acknowledge how you've been improving. So say what your weakness is, name it up front, but then go through the process of explaining how you recognized it and what you're doing better. Finally, there's one question that you absolutely have to know the answer to. I call this one the ultimate question in an interview. And the question is, why should we hire you? This is a terrifying question to get because usually it means that your interview is hanging in the balance. A lot of people don't ask this question if they've already made their decision. They ask it when they don't know and they want to have you answer for them. And your ability to lay out some key strengths that you offer in the why we should hire you question and do it in a way that's confident and also gentle is very important. So you may want to say, I'm really great at leading people, at growing projects, and also at managing data. But at the end of the day, the thing that I'm really bringing to the table is a real sense of excellent project management. So I'm able to use all of my strengths to lead and direct projects to really favorable conclusions. If you're able to do something like that in an interview, it's gentle but confident. You're able to really convey your points of excellence in a memorable way. So here are the 3 things that we've covered today: strengths, weaknesses, and the ultimate question, why they should hire you. If you walk into the interview unprepared for these, you're going to really have difficulty going through and convincing them that you are the type of candidate that they want to hire. Make sure that if you have questions about what we've talked about today or anything about fit interviews, come visit us at managementconsulted.com, where we have lots of resources to support you in your journey to be an excellent interviewer.